Hello and welcome everyone to day 2 of the 30-day Facebook Live Challenge, which is Money Fear is Real and How You Can Change It. Today our topic is clearing stuck emotions. Woohoo! Who is ready for this? This is a biggie. This is really a lot going on here. Yesterday we spoke about how the fear response is triggered, how it also activates the fight-flight response and our sympathetic nervous system and how to calm that. So today is a nice follow-up to that where we're talking about emotions and what is it that we can do for our emotions that may be overly sensitive, they might be heightened. A lot of things can be going on with emotions right now. So my first question to you is, what is the emotion that you are feeling the most now? And what are the impacts that you're feeling about that? Feel free to write that. I'm monitoring over here on my other computer the comments so that I can see what is going on for everyone today. And as you're thinking about that, I want to remind you that this Facebook Live is going to be going on for 28 more days after today. Each day we're going to have a different topic, something that is affecting us right now, very current, relevant topics about being living in this time that we are, and the stress that it causes, the fear, and what to do about that, and really offering specific techniques that work because they're working at the source of the issue. They are not working mamby-pamby superficially. These go right to the heart of the matter, and that's where we're going to be able to change what we're experiencing. Who's up for that? Yes, I know. Debbie. Got it. So thank you for being here, Debbie. And also I want to remind everyone that as we're going along and you hear something or something resonates with you, put hashtag gold for gold nugget in the comments and then write down what your gold nugget is or how that affected you. What was your aha moment? Because I really would like us to share that. So I'm creating also a sense of community here for us so that we can all feel like we're supported and we know that other people are going through what we're going through. So we're all in this together. So let's help each other out. Good. So for emotions, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about them. What are emotions? Does anybody know what emotions are? Well, I'll tell you. The word emote means to move. So as we're moving through life, emotions move through us. That's how they're meant to be. So something happens, boom, we feel an emotion. It's part of how we experience life. It's part of the joy of life. It's part of the challenges of life too. But every emotion that we have has a purpose. And it's important to know that they have a purpose. And each purpose is so important. And we wouldn't want to go through life without any one of our emotions, because they are also part of what's so valuable about our makeup. Who are we? We are our emotions. We're living, breathing beings. And what is it that we're doing? How are we going through this life? So each emotion that we have has a purpose. And probably the top two that we're experiencing now, I'm going to go out on a limb, is fear and sadness. Sadness is not always quite the obvious one for us. because fear is so strong. It's like this big sun and it's blinding us. And we're like, yeah, definitely, I'm feeling some fear. People around me are feeling fear. I hear it in the news media. Yeah. And rightly so, because there is uncertain times going on right now. And the fear that is running rampant is the fear about the virus, the coronavirus. So we all want to be safe. We all want to protect ourselves. So like we talked about yesterday, our fight-flight system, our nervous system is most likely heightened right now because we're looking for the danger that is out there, that is real. And when we're doing that, that is affecting every aspect of our life. So it's affecting money, relationships, career, personal growth, spirituality, and of course, health. If we stay in the fight-flight mode of activation of our sympathetic nervous system for any length of time, more than we need to get out of danger, then that creates a lot of health challenges. I mean, we hear about it all the time and we don't necessarily connect it with that. But for example, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia is another one. Big epidemics of that going on now. So let's move into defining the emotions. We're going to start with anger. Anger is, well, we have 3 big dogs on the block we're going to talk about today, and anger is one of them. So anger, does anybody know what is the purpose of anger? Go ahead and type that in if you know what that is, and we'll talk about that. Anybody? Anger, the purpose is to motivate us. It's to get us to do something. Whether it's to do something or not to do something actually is another purpose of why we have it. And it's to protect us. Yes, Debbie's got it, a defense mechanism. It can be a defense mechanism. It's also, this is a really hidden one, it's also a mask for sadness. Because when we don't have the capacity to feel sadness, we usually have anger instead. It's because the sadness is just too much for us to be able to experience or to connect with. So we'll go into anger because anger is an easier emotion to feel for most of us than sadness. So we will choose that. And I know a lot about that because that was my preferred motivator for the majority of my life. I grew up with in a house where there was a lot of anger, and anger was used to motivate us. And so I learned to internally have that motivation strategy for myself. And now I rarely go into that motivation, but sometimes if I need a really extra oomph, if I'm not really watching myself, the anger is going to jump in and just like bite me in my ass, basically, and until I do something. So then I have to do a little bit of work on myself with some of the techniques that I'm going to share with you guys. And then I get back to a normal motivation strategy, one that is much more healthy for me. So is anybody feeling anger right now? You can raise your hand, you can make a comment, you can push one of those cute little buttons, the hearts or the thumbs up. Go ahead and let me know, is anybody feeling anger? I just want to take a pulse and see where we are. Okay, nobody's feeling anger. Okay, great. So we're going to move on now. Oh, one person is. Okay, I see that. Great. So hold that thought. We're going to come back to that when we get to our techniques. Next, big dog on the block is sadness. So does anybody know why we have sadness? or what causes sadness. This sometimes we can think that, oh, we just don't really know, but most of the time, sadness is because we have lost something that we loved or cared about. So it is kind of the flip side of love. So in order to be able to have the experience of sadness, we have to have cared about whatever it was that we lost. And so what we lost is now gone, and so we feel sad about that. Sadness is also can be experienced as a projection of a loss. That's what I'm trying to say. So you haven't lost anything yet. Like maybe right now in the with what we're going through with this coronavirus situation, we haven't. Maybe we have lost some things, but we're projecting forward that we're going to lose even more than what we have lost. And who knows what that's going to be, but our mind can run rampant with the worst case scenario, because sometimes that's how we operate. So we want to just be aware of, have we already lost that thing or that person or not? It's actually called premature loss, if you want to get technical about it. But who wants to get technical? Not me. All right. Who's feeling sadness? Go ahead and let me know. You can click on the little thumbs up, the heart. You can also make a comment. Just let me know if anybody is feeling sadness right now. And if you wouldn't mind just typing in, is it something you've already lost, or is it something that you are projecting into the future that you haven't lost yet, but your mind thinks that you are going to lose it? It's really an important distinction for us. Okay. Our third big dog on the block emotion that we're talking about today is, you guessed it, fear. The whole title of what we're doing our 30-day challenge on. I saved it for last because we are going to go into even more depth on it. So fear, does anybody know what fear really is? What it means? What it's meant for? What its purpose is? We went over it a little bit yesterday. And fear is about keeping you safe and keeping you alive. So it's alerting you to a danger that is potentially life-threatening. So when we have a fear, and that could be a fear of anything. Maybe we have a fear of heights. Maybe we have a fear of snakes, public speaking. Whatever that fear is, if you trace it back, if you keep going back, like, so I'm afraid of heights. Well, what does that really mean? What are you really afraid of? Like, go down the rabbit hole with it. Any fear, doesn't matter what it is. You are ultimately going to come to, it's because you're afraid of death. It's a fear of dying. And some fears, you might just think, oh, I'm just, it's really not that bad. But in your mind and in your nervous system, it's that bad. That's what it's thinking. It's like, oh, I'm afraid of that knife. Well, I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of that dog that I got bit by when I was 5 years old. I was afraid I was going to die. So your body and your mind and your heart, they take this very, very seriously, and they jump to conclusions. And so just know that that's where the fear is going. And so fear is a super important emotion to be able to feel, so that we can stay alive and so that we can continue to exist. And it is what motivates us to survive. When we have fear, our nervous system, particularly our sympathetic nervous system, is heightened. So all of those different effects that we spoke about yesterday, like the pumping our body 24/7 with adrenaline and cortisol, it's happening. Our musculoskeletal system tightening, shortness of breath, very low oxygen levels coming in, which means every function of your body is not working well, other than the ones that need to help you escape from whatever danger you're in. All of that is happening when we're in fear. So the key with any of these emotions, so far we've talked about fear, sadness, and anger. There's other ones like anxiety, for example, like guilt, shame, rejection, blame, joy. I mean, we're not talking about some of the other ones that are more happy or more joyous ones, but there's emotions of happiness and love and joy. And a distinction to make here is that there's not positive and negative emotions. There's just, as I like to think of, pleasant and less pleasant emotions. They all serve their purpose. We need every one of them. So let's make sure that we have access to them. So part of our issues that can arise is when we are at capacity. It's called emotional capacity with our emotions. So for example, when someone has been so, well, what they really are experiencing is sadness, but they're experiencing it as anger. So you can think of it as their cup, and their cup is full of water. So let's say we have the sadness cup here, and it's full. So we don't have any more capacity. We can't pour any more water in there. We can't feel that anymore because that's already full. So as we pour it in, it's going to go over here into fear, for example, or I'm sorry, not fear, into anger. And so then when that one gets full, usually when anger gets full, that's when there's explosions. That's when there's, a physical outburst typically happens at that point. Because it's just like we're just like this bottleneck, this big powder keg waiting to explode because we haven't been able to fill the cup up with the emotion, and our capacity is big enough that we can fill it, and then it can move out and move through us. That's ideally how our emotions move. The problems come when they get stuck. And that's why we're talking about stuck emotions today. And body pain has a big part to do with stuck emotions. It's not 100% of that, but when we are holding on to emotions, many times it is felt as body pain, in addition to pain in the mind. In yoga, they actually have something called the vrittis, Vrittis, and they call them painful mind waves. And that is about, they don't say it, but my interpretation is it's about those emotions that are stuck, and they're very painful in the mind as well as in the body. So the key is to move and to let the emotions move. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Patrick. Thanks for joining us. And part of how I learned all of these lessons is from my personal experience. I've had 5 major concussions in my life, and each one of them was also a head, back, and neck trauma. And so I searched for years to find therapies to help me, and I thought that it was all body pain. And yes, there was a lot of body pain, but what I didn't know was that there was a lot of pain from the stuck emotion, from the traumas of the events, but then there was also stuck aspects of it in my mind and the programming of my mind, the false beliefs, the limiting decisions that I had made up about that, the parts that I had created that were in conflict with me. So it's very multidimensional. And in one of the businesses I own, it's called the Lasting Pain Relief Center. This is what we specialize in. When people come to us for chronic pain or trauma or abuses or stress that they're experiencing, they typically come to us for their body pain. And it's partially in the body, but it's also, like I said, in the mind. It's also in the energy. And we have got to get those emotions to move. So it's actually been scientifically proven that emotions get trapped in the cellular matrix of the fascia, which is in our body. It's very physiological. And as we're doing work, say with our myofascial release work, which is releasing that fascial matrix in the body, the emotions can come out. So that's another way to get some help. But I'm just telling you this so you can get a context of how big and pervasive this issue is and how it's everywhere. So for example, chronic pain in the body. Let's say we broke an ankle. Well, the first 8 weeks of our recovery are that body part is healing. So let's say we broke the ankle. What happens is a signal gets sent via our nerves from our ankle, up our leg, up through our dural tube in our spine, up into our brain and our central nervous system. The brain interprets it. Is that pain or is that not pain? It's up to our brain to interpret that. And that's why you see so many different people who have different levels of pain. You can see people go, oh, I have a very high pain tolerance. Other people, they've got a paper cut and they're in ER. Whew, like it's the end of the world. So that signal comes up, goes to the brain. The brain determines, what is it? Is it pain? Is it not pain? What level of pain is it? What do we need to do about that? And then it sends a signal back down to that body part of what to do and what's happening, what it's been interpreted as. So it will often send a signal to immobilize. So that's why when you have an injury, it usually gets very stiff. Part of it is also that there's an inflammation aspect of it. The inflammation is meant to not only immobilize, but also the macrophages from the immune system are being sent out to heal that. And it takes an inflammatory process to heal it. So if you're trying to just always reduce inflammation when you have an actual injury, not always the best idea. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Okay, we're going down a rabbit hole here. I'm coming back. We're coming back, Earth to Olympia. So the point is, at first, the signal comes from the body part to the brain. Brain interprets it, sends it back down. Here's what we got. Here's what we're calling it. We're calling it pain. We're not calling it pain. Then after 8 weeks, that body part is pretty much healed. Sometimes it takes a little longer. We can go into 12 weeks. But pretty much after that, the brain is actually proliferating the pain. It's no longer coming from that body part. So when we are in a state of not pain, we're just walking around, living our lives, we're feeling good, there are about 10% of our nerves are available for pain, should it happen. But once we get into that chronic pain state, that's when trouble starts to happen. That's when the brain is actually taken over and is proliferating and creating the pain. So, long story short, to let you know that we need to address the mind, the body, and the heart, because they're all 3 major players and they all have to be addressed. And Ellen has given us a lovely comment. Positive thinking and affirmations are not going to be enough to clear this stuff in our brain. Isn't that the truth? Ellen, you get 5 gold stars today. Kudos to you. That's why they don't work. When you're talking about really making change, people think they can make it on the thought level, But the thoughts are the fifth of 7 steps of how you do money. I'm gonna use the metaphor of money. It's a process of doing other things too. So at the 5th step, that's where the thought comes in. So if you're really just trying to change right there, you've missed the boat, because steps 1 through 4 are what's really bringing you to the thought. So in this case, it's our programming. It's our false beliefs, our limiting decisions, our strategies, our stuck emotions, our parts. Like, there's so many different things. Our physiology, our connection to community or not. All of that feeds into how you doing or not doing. So, and what you're thinking. So a thought is not just a thought, a random thought. It has a whole pedigree behind it. So when you're trying to change that, we have to go back here to ground zero. And that's what I'm sharing with you, because I really want you guys to be able to get back to being who you are, and and to be able to function. Is the threat of this virus real? Yeah, it's a real threat, and you should take measures for that. However, there's other things that need to happen. So with the techniques that I'm sharing with you and the information, it will help you to better be able to function, to not be paralyzed, not have that freezing effect from your fight, flight, freeze response, because you do need to function, and it's healthy for you to function. It's better for you to move than not move. So even if you're just going throughout your day, just move. Like, even if you've been sitting for a while, stand up, do some shoulder rolls, do some stretches, do some deep knee squats, go up some stairs, like just walk around the house. Just do any kind of movement that you can within tolerance. If a person is in pain, then do what you can outside of the pain threshold. I mean, even if it's just moving your finger, it sends a signal to your brain, oh, I can move. I'm actually not paralyzed. And then it starts to really help you. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody? Let's see. I'm going to check over here. Has anybody put #gold for golden nuggets that you might be getting? Any ahas, any breakthroughs? Feel free to put those into the comments, because at the end of the 30 days, guess what? We're going to have prizes. We're going to give prizes to people who have different types of categories of, like maybe people who've made the most, people who've made the most insightful, the most funny, like categories like that. And the big grand prize is going to be taking my course, which is the Mind Over Money Makeover, valued at almost $2,500. So it's #gold is what you want to put. People are starting to ask. So put those in there. And every comment that you make or every contribution that you make is helpful for other people. So yeah, after you write #gold, then write after that whatever your aha moment was, or whatever you're resonating with, whatever that meant to you. You keep them short. A phrase is good. Good. So let's move on. I have my little outline here for you guys. All right. We are ready for some resources. Who's ready? Who's ready for some solutions? Let's hear it. Push the little thumbs up. Push whatever you want to push. Push your own button. I know you're ready. We're going to do it. Okay. So this is such a big topic that it's going to go into tomorrow as well, especially with these resources. So the first resource we're going to do today is called the anxiety model. Who wants that? Raise your hand. This is really, really helpful. So anxiety is a fear and a projection into the future of something bad's going to happen. It's not, anxiety is not, oh, something great's going to happen. It's something bad is going to happen. So here we are, we're in the land of fear. So is anybody driving? If you're driving, you want to abstain from this right now. You can come back to the video later. But everybody else, if you're in a safe, comfortable place, what I want you to do is to be sitting or laying down and close your eyes. Notice, what is it that you have anxiety about? Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter if it's big or it's small. Most of us have something. So just get that in your mind. Yes, the anxiety model, somebody's asking what's the anxiety model, that's what we're doing right now. It's to alleviate anxiety and make you feel better pretty darn quickly. All right, so does everybody have in their mind something that they're anxious about? Good. So what you want to do now is we're going to ask your unconscious mind a question. This is where the fun begins. So your unconscious mind is where all of your information is stored. It's like your Wikipedia, it's like your Google for everything that's ever happened to you and everything that you've ever learned. So we're going to ask it a question. And here's the easiest way to get in touch with your unconscious mind. I'm going to ask you a question, and then you're going to answer it very quickly because you know the answer. Your unconscious mind is going to pop it up for you. You do not even need to think about it because you already know it. So for example, what's your name? Olympia, right? It just pops up. There's no questioning. There's no searching for it. There's no trying to figure out what it is or what's the meaning behind it. Another good one is, where do you live? So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're going to be talking to your unconscious mind. So just let that bubble up the answers for you. And it's so happy to share them with you because it would like to get rid of this anxiety as well as you. So is it okay for your unconscious mind to clear this anxiety now? The answer is either going to be yes or no. And that answer should just pop up for you. If the answer is no, then you need to wait and stay away from doing this model right now because you're just not ready for it. If the answer is yes, then we go to the question of, is your conscious mind also okay to have all the positive realizations of having released this anxiety now? And that answer needs to be yes too. So if it's a no, again, you're going to stay away from doing this right now. You can come back later and ask yourself those two questions again. And if both answers are yes, then you're clear to continue. Okay. So a little bit more setup for this technique is when you think about the future, your future, where is it in relationship to you? Many people, it's in front of them. Some of it's off to the side. It could be under their big toe. It really could be anywhere. So ask your unconscious mind to share with you, where is your future? Yes. Then ask your unconscious mind, where is your past? So for many people, the future's in the front, the past is in the back. It doesn't have to be that way. There's no right or wrong. It's just whatever it is for you. So get clear on where's the future, where's the past for you. Then you draw an imaginary line between those, and it goes to infinity in each direction. And now we're ready. We're ready to float up on what's called our timeline. So the anxiety model is part of what's called a timeline technique. There's a lot of different ways to do a timeline technique. This is the way we're going to do it today. So you're going to float up with your imagination. It's as if you're floating up above your timeline, and you're going to go up to about the level of the clouds. And once you're there, you're going to float out in the direction of the future for you on your timeline, wherever that direction is. Go into the future, and you're going to go to 15 minutes after the successful completion of whatever it is that you were anxious about, that you used to be anxious about. So 15 minutes after the successful completion. Float on out there now. Your unconscious mind will tell you exactly where that is. There's no need to search for that. By the way, your conscious mind, in order for him or her to be excluded from this exercise because they are not needed, we're going to have them go to a beach in Hawaii or wherever else you'd like them to be, and they're having a great time relaxing and doing whatever else you like to do over there. Or if you're a mountain person, you're in the mountains. Conscious mind is over there. We're talking to the unconscious mind. 15 minutes beyond the successful completion of whatever it was that you used to be anxious about. Is everybody there? Give me a sign. Push the little thumbs up, push the hearts, whatever it is you want to do. Just let me know that you're there. This is important that we're there. Good. And then once you're there, ask yourself, what does it look like? Like, look around from that point of 15 minutes beyond a successful completion. So you're here, like whatever it was that you were worried about is gone. It didn't happen, or it did happen. It doesn't matter. Things are great now. So it's concluded to a great conclusion for you, in your favor. Everything is great for you. Ask yourself, what do you see? So we're checking in with our senses. What do you see? What's around you? Maybe you see people with you. Maybe some friends are with you. Maybe you see a warm, fluffy dog. Maybe you see sun. Maybe you see symbol. It could be anything. Just we're letting the amygdala know that we're safe and that things are good. Next sense we're going to go to is what do you hear? What is it that you're hearing? And maybe it's something you're saying to yourself. Maybe you're saying, oh, that's great. That was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Or, oh, I'm so relieved that that's gone now. It could also be something like music. It could be somebody else's voice. It could be the sound of the trees rustling. Whatever it is for you, get in touch with what are the sounds here now that everything is great. All is well. Third sense we're going to go to is, what are you feeling? Either an emotional feeling, as in I feel great, I feel happy, I feel excited, whatever that might be, and or it might be a touch sensation. So what are you touching? Maybe you're touching a rock, maybe you're touching a tree, maybe you're touching your pants, I don't know, maybe you're holding hands with somebody. Yeah. Oh. So just really get in with that. So Ellen's reporting that her future plus 15 minutes looks like one of my really wealthy clients' living room that I was coveting yesterday. That's great. I hear a water feature in the background like a fountain wall. Beautiful. It's perfect. It's always perfect because it's just exactly what you need. So as you're there now, you're informing your senses. What are the smells? Check around. What do you smell? Take a sniff. What is it? It could be a real smell, could be a perceived smell, could be the smell of success. I always love that one when my unconscious mind gives me that one. Good. And so now we've gone through the senses. One more check-in point here, and that is, what are 3 things that are different in your life now. Could be anything. Could be an event, could be a possession, it could be an activity, it could be a state of mind, could be people, could be money, it really could be anything. So what are 3 things, now that you've had the successful completion of this anxiety situation gone, totally gone, what are 3 things that are different for you? And please write in the chat. You can write #gold, and then you don't have to write all 3, just write one of them. I'm dying to know what it is for you. So please put that in there. And just keep asking your unconscious mind to continue to share with you until you have 3. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, so Ellen is sharing with us. Thank you, Ellen, for being so sharing. Money worries are gone. I am not hiding from anyone or anything, and I can be my full self. Awesome. So check in with yourself now and notice how you're feeling. Notice what's happening for you. Maybe you're breathing better. Maybe you're just more relaxed. Maybe your shoulders are relaxed. Maybe you feel like you're just more comfortable in your skin. Maybe your mind is like, oh, hey, I got this. I got this. Things are good. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, this is great. And from this place, you can now function better. You can now work from a state of rest and digest, which is your parasympathetic nervous system, which is part of what we've been resetting for you through this exercise. So before I go too far, I want to bring you down off the timeline now. So come on back to now on your timeline, and then float back in to your body. And what did you have for breakfast? Yeah, I had oatmeal. It was great. Oatmeal with my dad, my 85-year-old dad. We have oatmeal almost every morning. It's fantastic. Great. So from here, just notice how different you feel. Notice how your outlook seems different. Is anybody still experiencing any anxiety? Let me know if you are. Good. So far, so good. Most likely, you're not feeling any anxiety anymore. So that's a tool you can use anytime. And so we went a little bit long today, but that anxiety model is one that I really wanted you to experience and have in your toolbox. So you can always use that anytime. And once you've gone through it once, I don't have to do all the setup. So you can, and you won't have to do all the setup. Oh, okay, we have a question. How do you sustain this feeling? That's a great question. Well, couple of ways to do that. One is, as you're going throughout your day and your life now, what we've done is we're building your capacity. So for these emotions to flow. So it's going to start happening naturally. Is it going to stick forever? I don't know, most likely not. You might have to do it 1 or 2 times, especially in this heightened time of fear that we're in. So I just want you to know that. But as you do it more and more, when the need arises, you will last longer and longer and longer in between periods of not having to do this, or not needing to do it, actually. So your nervous system will be resetting itself so that you will be staying in the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system of, oh, life is good, I'm relaxed, everything is great, there's no saber-toothed tigers chasing me today, this is fantastic, I can go about my day, I can be me, I can go out and be fully present for myself, for my family, for my business, I can make money, life is good. that's what's going to be your more normal. Because that really is normal. We're just resetting you back to normal. So what we've done is we're expanding the capacity of your cup that we were talking about earlier, so that now your capacity for anxiety is way bigger. And so as anxiety, a potential, let's be very clear about that, a potential for anxiety comes in, it could go in. And then it comes right out and it just flows like a river. It just keeps flowing. And you're like, oh, yeah, no big deal. So when we expand that capacity, they just don't bother you as much. Yes, you're aware of them. You're like, okay, yeah, that's happening. But it's not the end of the world. I know what's on the other side of that. And I recognize that as, that's just my amygdala, trying to warn me that there's a potential for an issue, but I see that it's not really that big of an issue. Or now that I've expanded my capacity, it might have been as big of an issue as it was before, but now it's flowing. It's not stuck for you anymore. So it doesn't affect you like that. That's the beauty of it. Like it's the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, Ellen is sharing with us. Now, she's done this for the second time. She and I did this in a private session yesterday. And she's saying now that she's doing this for a second time today, she got into the future plus 15 minutes much quicker, and her body and breath just knew what to do. Okay, see, there you go. It just keeps building on itself. So you'll find also that you'll be breathing better. Like you'll just be able to handle things better. You'll be able to be more of a support system for other people in your life. In addition to being a support system to yourself, you'll be able to be there for other people. And another important thing of what we're doing here is it's called riding on another person's nervous system. So I'm showing up here for you, and my nervous system is good. I make sure it's good. I make sure it's clear before I get on these calls with you. And so just being in the presence of someone who is calm and centered and in the rest and digest phase, even if you don't do these techniques, you will naturally start to dial down your nervous system. You might not get all the way, but you will start to dial it down. And you will start the process of resetting. So that's why you feel so good when you're around those people or animals, for example, animals that are calm. That's why they're so helpful to us. When you just pet a dog or pet a cat and the cat is purring or the dog is just like, oh, this is fantastic, rub my tummy, I love that. Then you start to dial down. So that's another option for you, is if you can get in the presence, and even the presence of like a Skype, or Zoom or Facebook, whatever your method is, or even just the phone. It doesn't have to be in person. Any of those methods with somebody who is in that calm state is really going to help you. So I hope that was helpful for you guys today. Any questions, do let me know. We're going to be back tomorrow. Let me check my schedule. Tomorrow we're going to be back at 4 p.m. This is one of those time conflicts that I just can't change. I'm actually going to be on a summit tomorrow that is at 3. So tomorrow we're here at 4. I will go ahead and post that for you. Again, let me know how you're doing. I'd love to hear, what's going on for you, how this is helping you. And feel free to share it with other people. Like, pretty much everybody needs this right now. All right. So thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored that you chose to spend your time and energy with me, and that I could be here for you. Thank you. Bye-bye.